This is the Ford Everest Wildtrak. It's the wagon version of the Ford Ranger Wildtrak, and as such it replaces the Sport as the second most expensive Everest in the lineup. There are no mechanical or engineering changes to this over a standard V6 Everest, but what you do get is a whole bunch of Wildtrak styling, some new wheels and some more driver assist tech. They've always been effective off-road. I've tested many of V6 Everest over the years and the bi-turbo versions, and they are all very effective. So I'm expecting no surprises there, but you never know. So that's what we're here to find out, so stick around. The Ford Everest Wildtrak is a 7-seat four-wheel drive wagon, and it is only available with the V6 turbo diesel engine. It has a suggested retail price of just over $74,000, but remember, that doesn't include on-road costs. Standard features on board the Everest Wildtrak include the 12-inch multimedia touchscreen system, and you get wired or wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. There's also sat-nav on board, so that's pretty handy. You get dual zone climate control and a whole bunch of other stuff. The actual Wildtrak additions are pretty much limited to styling changes. You got stitching around the cabin as well as the Wildtrak branding, but you do get a 360-degree camera as part of the Wildtrak package, and you also get this panoramic sunroof. For even more details on this vehicle, make sure you read my full written review at the CarsGuide website. That's carsguide.com.au. Exterior paint choices on the Everest Wildtrak include the usual suspects, black, white, grey, that sort of thing. But you also get Equinox Bronze and Lux Yellow, which is on our test vehicle, and that's a bit of a like it or loathe it colour. Most of the distinctively Wildtrak stuff that you do get when you buy a Wildtrak boils down to styling. Black accents on the front grille, that's pretty striking. Black accents over the wheel arches. And inside and outside you get Wildtrak badging just to remind you that you are in a Wildtrak. But as well as that, you do get the wheels. Now they are 20-inch wheels as standard, but you can option at no cost 18-inch wheels, which are preferable for off-roading. The Everest Wildtrak cabin is a comfortable and practical space. There's plenty of storage around, there are plenty of charge points, and in terms of comfort, from the front to the back, it's actually pretty good. The driver and front passenger seats are power adjustable. You got plenty of head, shoulder and leg room in the second row, and not so much in the third row, but it's not terrible. When all three rows of seats are in use, there's not a lot of cargo capacity here at the very rear, but if you put that third row down, that gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of cargo carrying ability. Here I've got some vehicle recovery gear, but you can obviously fit plenty of camping gear, your dog, whatever you want to throw in here, and away you go. Our test vehicle has the 3-litre V6 turbo diesel engine that is in all other standard V6 Everests, and that produces 184 kilowatts and 600 newton meters, and it's matched to a 10-speed automatic transmission. That's a quietly effective combination. It's not particularly dynamic, but you can always count on it when you need to. The Everest Wildtrak has a 4-wheel drive system that enables you to drive in 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive high range or 4-wheel drive low range, or you can leave it in 4-wheel drive auto, which enables you to drive it in 4-wheel drive on road. The Wildtrak treatment doesn't add anything in terms of 4-wheel drive capability to the Everest as is. It doesn't add any suspension upgrades or mechanical changes, no changes to power and torque or engine performance. And that's fine because the V6 Everest as is a very effective 4-wheel drive. For starters, that V6 engine is very smooth and it produces plenty of torque. That 600 newton meters comes in very handy, especially when you are low range 4-wheel driving. But as well as that, you have a whole raft of driver assist systems that are aimed at making even a novice 4-wheel driver feel like a competent 4-wheel driver. I'm talking about drive modes like mud and ruts, snow and sand that tweak the transmission just to better suit the terrain. Sure, all of those things are on board a lot of the Everest's rivals, but it just seems to work really well in this package. But even though there are a lot of things to like about the Everest in terms of its 4-wheel drive capabilities, there are a few niggles though, and one of those is just its sheer size. It has to be driven with careful consideration. And another thing is the Wildtrak comes standard with 20-inch alloy wheels and all-season tyres. Swap those out for an aggressive set of all-terrain tyres on 18-inch alloys and you are better suited to four-wheel driving. If you are planning to use your V6 Everest, no matter which variant it is, it's handy to know that its unbraked towing capacity is 750 kilograms and its braked towing capacity is 3,500 kilograms. Fuel consumption is listed as 8.5 litres per 100 kilometres, and that's on a combined cycle. On this test, I recorded 13.4 litres per 100 kilometres. But remember, I did a lot of high and low range four-wheel driving. The Everest has an 80 litre fuel tank, so going by those on-test fuel consumption figures, you could reasonably expect a driving range out of a full tank of about 600 kilometres. The Everest has the maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating, and that's from testing in 2022. It has 9 airbags as well as a full suite of driver assist tech, including AEB, adaptive cruise control and more. But for even more details about this vehicle, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. The Everest lineup is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and Ford also offers roadside assistance and a cap price servicing plan. Servicing intervals are set at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever occurs soonest. The V6 Everest is an impressive four-wheel drive wagon. It's refined on-road and it's very effective off-road. It has a lot going for it. But does the Wildtrak treatment add anything of substance? Well, no, not really, but if you're after a feature-packed, nice-looking four-wheel drive wagon, then you could do a lot worse than the Everest Wildtrak. I do still prefer the Sport though. But what do you reckon? Have your say in the comments section below.